Hello, welcome back. This video is going to be very different. I've recorded it, didn't like it, and I looked way better in that video. Like, more coordinated. Tried to do my makeup to match the book cover, and it was ruined today. So, everything's out the window. I'm eating cookies and drinking alcohol. That's probably not a good combination for this video. But we're doing it anyway. Speaking of doing it, got what I did there? Ooh, I look very disheveled. Apologies. I just got home from work and my hair's it's gonna be one of those days. So speaking of doing it, that is what this video is all about. Hopefully I can do this very quickly because my battery's gonna die soon. Had notes, started notes actually, didn't finish them. Felt like I needed notes because this is a very sensitive and controversial topic, but that's not gonna happen. Yeah, okay, very different Dana for this video. In lieu of Valentine's Day, which is this weekend, so heads up for those who did not remember, this is for you. And my boyfriend and I don't really ever do anything big for Valentine's Day, but we get something small or whatever. Like the thing I got my boyfriend this Valentine's Day, I was gonna buy it anyway, but I'm just gonna give it to him on Valentine's Day, but it's kind of for both of us, and we'll just say we totally planned it that way. But this video is not going to be about romance books, things like that. I don't read a lot of romance. I want to work some more of it in because romance kind of leaves a bad taste in my mouth. It's either really, really bad or really smutty or not portrayed very, very well. I feel like there's one thing to portray flawed people. Everyone makes mistakes, but a lot of romances just romanticize the wrong things in relationships. Anyway, maybe I'll do that for next Valentine's Day. This Valentine's Day, we're talking about sex. So, I feel like these are great book recommendations. So, for Valentine's Day, if you're married, no matter your relationship status, married, single, whatever, I feel like these are really, really great books to read. I'm going to be talking more about Sex Plus. That's what I did my book look with. Just a little bit of peach, a little bit of purple, a little bit of green on the peach. It was very cold. My eyes watered and it's all streaky now. So this is the other book I recommend. Come As You Are by Emily Nagoski. It's good, but it's more for women or men who are more experienced and struggling with certain things like libido after giving birth, not necessarily like therapy type stuff, but it's a start. It's really good. Little repetitive for me, but that's not bad. Some things you just need drilled in. So, trigger warning for this video. I am going to be talking obviously about sex. I feel like most people who watch this video are the people who are going to need this content. It's going to be people who are dumb, not dumb, just not smart, don't make smart choices when it comes to sex. And those people probably aren't going to be the ones who read a lot like me. So anyway, trigger warning for general sex talk. I'm going to be saying vagina and penis a lot, vulva, labia, all that good stuff. I'm going to be talking about rape and specifically my experience with it, sexual assault and my experience with it, abuse, um, all of that stuff, STDs, STIs. I am very nervous. That's why this is my second time recording this video. It has me very frazzled. I've gone over every which way I've wanted to talk about things. There are things I'm going to mention that I wanted to leave out, or leave out who said what or who did what. But I just, so, but my battery's low, so I gotta hurry. Okay, so, trigger warning for rape. I will try to give that reminder again before I talk about it. If I don't, I'll put a trigger warning up here before I talk about it, because I'll probably forget, because I'm very anxious about making this video. So, because I have friends and family that are subscribed here, coworkers, so I'm very nervous. I don't know if they actually watch these videos. Some of them don't really read a lot of books, so I feel like they subscribe for the support, but if you don't read books, just, you know, you're gonna throw off the analytics. I don't know. I'm putting this off. I'm making excuses to not talk about this, but I feel like it needs to be talked about, because if I had this information when I was high school age, or even in my early 20s, it would have made such a difference. And if me talking about my experience, things I've learned, why this book is awesome, if that helps someone to go to therapy, if it helps someone come forward about what's happened to them, or just anything in general, helps them avoid the situation entirely, which would be ideal, that it's real life, and unfortunately that's how things go. I'm so nervous. Okay, so if you're a friend or coworker or family or someone really close to me and you watch this, don't tell me. Okay. So this is mainly about Sex Plus by Lacey Green. She also has a YouTube channel, and then there's another channel I'm going to recommend just as general like sex education that's really good, is going to be Dr. Doe. Her channel is called Sexplanations. She's a sex therapist, and it is such good content. I also recommend Mama Dr. Jones. She's a OBGYN, does kind of more on the health side of stuff. Okay. So yeah, those are some other recommendations, but we're going to talk about this. And maybe I'm going to start off with some statistics. Okay, so real quick, I'm going to list off some statistics, and I'll link a picture of this portion of the book in the video right in here. This is from the end of the book on why we need sex ed, because America does a horrible job at it. We won't get into that, but as of 2017, only 50% of females and 8% of males aged 15 to 19 reported having received formal instruction about how to use a condom. Only 55% of young men and 60% of young women have received formal instruction about methods of birth control. Only 14% of middle school and 21% of high school students know how to ask for consent. Know how to ask for consent. That is a big portion of what I'm going to talk about in this video. It's why I recommend this book. It talks about consent. Oh, so great job. Okay. 1 in 2 young adults contract a sexually transmitted infection, STI, before age 25. Less than a third of students can describe what a healthy relationship looks like. That's another big thing. Okay. As of 2013, fewer than 5% of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender LGBT students aged 13 to 21 reported that their health classes had included positive representations of LGBT related topics. So that's kind of why I want to talk about this stuff. I work with some teenagers, and some of the things they say are just, I want to give advice, but I also don't want to cross a line and be inappropriate, you know what I mean? Like, I wish I had someone like that in my life who would talk to me about this stuff, because obviously my parents didn't. And I grew up in a super religious home, and it's gonna sound like I'm hating on religion or whatever. That's not my intent. That's just my experience with it growing up, and it was not a great experience. Yes, I don't want to cross the line, but I also want them to feel comfortable approaching me about stuff. Like, I don't want to be inappropriate, but at the same time, if a teenager comes to me and asks me, hey, I want to do this, we are ready for this, but I'm scared to go buy condoms, can you help me out? I would totally go buy condoms for a teenager. I would much rather have the knowledge that they are safe and taking precautions, instead of saying, no, don't have sex or whatever. Just and them have sex and someone get pregnant or get STD or whatever. I would much rather it be safe. I was super awkward about buying condoms when I was younger too. Like, yeah. Anyway, I just, I don't know what I'm trying to say. Oh. Basically my go-to is to recommend this book. So, reasons I like this book. I'm just gonna go over like the chapters. There's chapters on your genitals. So it goes over anatomy for both male and female, periods, and there were things like, I'm 30, I'm about to be 31. You feel like you know everything by now, but there are things I didn't know, like little tidbits here and there, fun facts. So still worth reading. The care and keeping of vaginas, because believe it or not, people stick all kinds of crazy stuff up there for hygiene purposes that are way wrong. Sexual identity and gender identity. Body image, that is a very good one. Masturbation and orgasm, because believe it or not, I highly recommend it, whether you are in a relationship or not. Yeah. I was super nervous about that for the longest time. I don't know why, but I dated a guy who's like, if you don't want to have sex with yourself, why would anyone else want to? It's like, you kind of got a point. And it helps you kind of discover things you would like, all kinds of stuff. So definitely read that chapter, don't skip it. There's a chapter on sex toys, which is kind of funny. It goes into the history of sex toys. It's funny. It's totally worth a read. It goes over safer sex, birth control, and it went over the history of birth control It goes over the pros and cons of each type of birth control, the health risks, side effects, all that good stuff. Doesn't replace talking to your gynecologist, but it's still kind of good information to read about and then go to your gynecologist with questions. This chapter, consent and communication. If you don't want your child, your teenager, who already probably thinks about sex, already has urges with things like that, or probably already has had sex and you didn't know, which is probably true, just read this chapter with them. Consent and communication. This chapter is so good. It goes over different types of consent. I recommend this whole book, but if you are a prude, I don't mean that in a mean way, but if you don't, you're part of the problem. But consent and communication, that chapter is amazing. Read it. Sexploration, kink, relationships, dating violence, and then why we need sex ed. All of this is so good. There are things that, people say we don't need sex ed, but I can tell you countless stories that I have heard of just outrageous stuff, and it's like, what? It's so it's horrible. Yeah, we need sex ed, and I don't understand it's so taboo in the United States and across a lot of countries. It's just, I don't remember a lot of stuff. That's part of my trauma, is some memories are kind of cloudy. I don't remember some things if they're real or not, and I've been married before. I've texted my ex-husband and asked, do you remember this? Do you remember what happened? Because I don't. I don't remember having a sex ed talk. What I do remember is I have been sexually active, and my mom found out. Now, please do not bash my mom in the comments. I've been to therapy. Her and I have argued over it. We've talked about it, and we are at a good place in our relationship now. I hate saying it, but I also feel like I need to say it because it is a type of abuse. It doesn't seem like that big of a deal, but I feel like consent comes in there where I'll get there in a second. So my mom found out, so she took me in her bedroom, made me pull down my pants or skirt. I wore a lot of skirts then. I was very, very religious. To check my hymen to see if it was still intact. Now, both of these books talk about the hymen and the myths surrounding them, because literally all the myths we talk about constantly are completely and totally wrong. Anyway, so my mom thought I was still a virgin because I was freaking out and like shying away from her touch. No, that's me not wanting to have you touch me. And yeah, it wasn't great. She couldn't tell because she's not a gynecologist, and everything surrounding the truth about hymens is wrong. Anyway, so I feel like that became a consent issue for me, because anyone I had somewhat of a relationship with, it's like I'm trying to adequately describe, it kind of fudges that consent line as if it's someone you're close to, which is played into a lot later on. I did get married young. I got married at 18, divorced by 19, because, again, super, super religious home. My church, I was worried that I would have to go in front of the church and confess in front of everyone that I had been sexually active. And we also thought we were in love, teenagers. Not that they can't be in love. I have friends from high school that are married that have been together for forever. Not saying that, but typically it doesn't work out half the time, more so half the time. So I got married at 18, mainly to avoid getting caught having premarital sex, for what I thought was love. Whatever. Anyway, moving on. Just, and even after we were married, I was still like so nervous being around people, like showing any sort of PDA, because it's like, it still felt weird to me to show public affection. What else? So getting into some really personal stuff. I'm so nervous. I hope sharing this helps someone else deal with what's happened to them or avoid the situation entirely. Trigger warning for rape, sexual assault. Yeah, so when I was 21, I think, I had been in a relationship with a guy for like a couple weeks. It was just a fling. It didn't last very long, but we'd always use protection. And then we broke up. And then I get a call from him really, really late one night, asking to come pick him up from the bar because he didn't feel good and all of his friends were drunk and still wanting to stay there. And they had carpooled. So, like an idiot, I pick him up and drive him home. He convinces me to come inside for a little bit just to chat and figure things out. I didn't really want to. I went in anyway, and things go from there. I was raped. I contracted a lifelong STD from it, which isn't so. I feel like I should say it because it's not that bad. And like half of everyone has it. It's herpes, genital herpes. Which I'm still very self-conscious about, because you have to tell every single person you're in a relationship with after that what you have. And I've had it thrown in my face and just absolutely shatter me, and it was not a good time. I've been called a whore and a slut by certain family members because I had an STD, or have, because I have one, and I don't talk to that family member anymore. He's a piece of shit anyway. But he did not believe me, and we weren't close initially anyway growing up, so I was like, I'm not close to you, why would I dive into these details? And for the longest, for a while, I kept justifying it in my mind. I was like, we had sex previously, we've been in a relationship, and I keep trying to justify things, but it's not. Rape is rape. When someone tells you no, stop, that's a done deal. Um, and I just had trouble coming to the terms with the fact that no one would believe me because we had already been in a relationship and had already had sex. But I didn't. Anyway, but we'd always use protection. And when I was raped, there was no protection used. And I kept telling myself, at least I'm not pregnant. And that was me. I was trying to be okay with it and just move on. And some of my coworkers at the time were like, I didn't go into details, but they're like, are you sure you're okay? Because you should not be okay. And I kept saying, no, this is, at least I'm not pregnant, you know? And then when I had my first breakout, which is how I found out, obviously, it was horrible. I could barely walk because I was in so much pain. I went to the urgent care, not great bedside manner. I don't remember them asking me if I was raped or what I had, what my sexual life was like or anything. Maybe they did. I don't know. I was in so much pain. They did give me penicillin, and I told them I was allergic to penicillin. And that was also not a good time. I was so scared. I wanted to call someone to be there with me, but I was just terrified, and I didn't want anyone to know. I didn't want them to know I had herpes. I didn't want them to know about the rape. I didn't want them to know anything really. There was, of course, one person I put my trust in that I should not have, and I stayed at a friend's house. Just to kind of hide. And I was 21. I had my own place with a roommate, and I should have just stayed there. But I just felt like I wanted to isolate. I don't know. So I stayed there. The man of the house knew what I had and what was going on. Some of it anyway. Of course, I didn't spill details. And then I don't remember how many days in, maybe 2 days in, I am on Loratabs. I am in a lot of pain still. It was a very, very bad initial breakout. And he sexually assaulted me. And I feel like that was way, way worse because, again, it was someone I knew and trusted, which is how most things happen, right? And why a lot of people don't come forward. Basically, I'm sleeping and very high on Loratabs. This is, do I want to say? No, I'm not going to go into detail. Okay. So that happened. And then, no, I'm going to say it. Okay. So this is super, super shitty. Trigger warning again. A continuous trigger warning until I take it down. He came to me while I was in bed, pulled up my shirt, grabbed my arm and tried to make me give him a hand job. And I was so in pain and just so out of it. And I didn't even realize kind of what was going on. I just was so out of it. And then I remember him being like, oh, it's okay, I'll do it. And jerks off onto my boobs and then wipes everything off and puts my shirt down and leaves. what? As soon as the lower tabs wore off a bit, I got in my car and left and never talked to them again. It ruined a friendship. Yeah, that was wild. And I think now, like, who would do that? Like, I feel like any relationship, I wasn't in a relationship, but if you're even in a relationship, if your significant other is sick, why would you do that? Oh, it was horrible. Yeah, that really sucked. And I know it was almost worse because, again, someone I knew and trusted and knew somewhat of the situation. I mean, he knew I had an STI and I had an infection, and I was in a lot of pain. So I was there, I was isolating. I was there with a friend. Not a good time. And then 2012 was my 2020. On my way to my home, my apartment, I got in a car wreck. It's been almost 10 years. And yeah, and then I went to work the next day, even though I had a doctor's note, because my boss called me and was like, can you close the store? I was a manager. Can you close the store? Because I don't want to close, and then open and take your shift because we have a truck and blah, blah, blah. And I should have said no. I think the other manager had like a date or something. It was stupid. I would bend over backwards for anybody, and I feel like now, not that I don't work hard. I obviously like work hard while I'm working, but I'm not going to bend over backwards. I know my boundaries now. So that was a really crappy week, and ultimately I ended up moving states within the next 5-6 months. So usually when people ask me why I moved to Kansas, things were pretty shitty in my home state at the time. So change of scenery was nice. I still, I've did a little bit of therapy. I probably should have done it longer. I still get kind of triggered after talking about it. Not that I won't talk about it. I'm fine with talking about it if it helps someone. So, as I said, given what I have had to tell every person that I've been in a relationship with before things get too serious or too far what I have, and I tell them how I got it. I am very open and vulnerable. And I've had it thrown back in my face, and it was really, really bad. That was horrible. I've had some good relationships and some not great ones. I've had some really good ones, but some not so great ones, obviously. I feel like, though, things have gotten better over time. Because one, it's been almost 10 years, and certain things will trigger me, like if it's in TV or movies, things like that. I'll have trouble sleeping or whatnot, obviously, and play it through my mind. Things I wish I would have done differently. I wish I had had a lot of this information. And had approached people in my life at the time and asked for help. I have been a very independent, I don't want to be a moocher, I don't want to rely on anyone type of person, and I've had to kind of get over that a little bit. I have struggled, but ultimately things are better. And if you see me in public, I have either thought about it that day or recently, the day before, the day after, um, because it's constantly on my mind. Um, Breakouts are bad. Like, they're not that often anymore. It's been a long enough time. But if I get like super, super stressed, I start to worry. I'm like, oh no, don't get too stressed because you don't want to break out, which is dumb because then it makes me stress more, right? So where was I getting with? I've been in a stable relationship for 7 years, and my boyfriend has treated this very well. He has dealt with it well. There were times I would have flashbacks and sort of freeze up, but when we're being intimate, and start to cry, and like I'll turn my face away because I don't want to, ruin anything. But he like senses like the tension in my body and he forces us to stop. He's like, it's fine. If you're having trouble with whatever, it's fine. I used to have nightmares, things like that, but those two things hardly ever happen anymore. And I feel like being in a long-term relationship, being in a good relationship where he deals with it well. Any person in their right mind should deal with it the way he has. Like, those other guys were assholes. Anyway, this is a very awkward video. I'm sorry. I'll probably cry after this. So I feel like if I had had a better sex education, I could have avoided some of those situations. And I have, after the fact, I've been on some dates with like creepy guys, and I have like this feeling. There are certain guys, and I feel bad because I'm like, what if they're just weird? Because I am a very weird person, But if you're a woman, you know what I mean. You just have this feeling. And I've started to trust that feeling. And I'll go a different way on the way home and won't go to or I'm in a relationship now. I wouldn't stop it. I'd stop somewhere on the way home and make sure I'm not followed, and I was extra cautious, things like that. So going to try to kind of wrap things up a little bit quicker. So I feel like we should start talking about consent at a much younger age than teenagers. Kids are having sex younger and younger these days. I feel like it needs to be talked about. I know it's awkward for parents to talk about this stuff with their kids, but don't beat around the bush. Don't make up nicknames for body parts like coochie instead of vagina. I heard a story, I don't know if it's true, where a little girl tried telling her teacher that her uncle kept touching her cookie, and she's like, oh, whatever. But what she was trying to say was coochie, aka vagina, and was trying to tell someone. But she didn't know any other word besides coochie. And I feel like knowing the correct parts for your business is important. And it's okay to say vagina, labia, vulva, like just penis, scrotum, all that stuff. I don't know how young But I definitely think by middle school, you should have a general consensus of what things are okay and not. I got an abstinence only education for most of the part growing up. So I even with premarital counseling before I got married, I don't remember a lot of it. It's been a long time. I did get a book. It was called Created to Be His Helpmeet. I don't remember anything about the book. I don't think I read it all. But it's just, it wasn't the information that was needed. I feel like you need to teach your kids more than just about periods or what, or just don't do it. Kids are gonna do it no matter what. I feel like I would rather have a very awkward conversation than to have my kid end up with an STD or pregnant or whatever. Just suck it up and do it. Or just give them this book, have them read it, have them come to you with questions. There's just so much good content in here. And the chapter on consent, I had wished I read it when I was younger. It would have helped me avoid so many situations. It talks about consent whenever dealing with someone in authority, which I feel like I struggled with my mom, with someone that I had dated, with a friend's dad. Like, it just, I feel like it's so important. I don't understand why we don't talk about it. It's modern age people. It's not the biblical times when your wife is on her period, she has to go sleep somewhere else on the outside of town until she's done. Like, come on. I feel like teenage boys need to be educated on this. I feel very strongly about this. I did take a class in high school where you had like the pregnancy belly and how to take care of a kid, and I don't remember a lot of it. I don't remember a lot of it. But I feel like rape and things like that are portrayed as it's usually an act of violence. And if it's someone you know, it's usually very violent as well. Like you're at a family gathering and your uncle takes you away to the bedroom and forces you to have sex or something. Like, that's not always how it happens. Like, there's so many different types of sexual abuse. There are different types of coercion, which it talks a lot about in this book, the different types of coercion. Like someone threatening you, someone using their authority in your life to force you to do something you don't want to do. That is not consent. And I feel like this should be obvious, right? But it's not. Sometimes you just need someone to tell you something even though you already know it. Know what I mean? I just feel like this is so important. Maybe I would have avoided that situation if I had a better sex education and an idea of what consent was and the different types of consent, different types of coercion, which is what mine was. Mine was threatening. but not in a violent way or anything. It wasn't very violent, and I feel like that's where I had this sort of disconnect. It was someone I dated, it was coercion, it was do this or I will tell blah, whatever, blackmail type of thing. I just feel like those should be included. And some programs probably do. We are getting there. We're getting a little bit better, but there's so much. Oof. Like I said, with some of the girls at work, some of the teenagers I'm around, I don't know how far to go. I don't know if they have a good role model in their life. I don't feel like I should be a role model. I don't feel like I'm in my 30s. But I just feel like there are things to learn. Like, there was a time growing up where someone in the family was doing laundry and saw my underwear, like, there was vaginal discharge in there. And, like, ooh, are you feeling frisky? No, it's totally normal, which I didn't realize. And I thought for the longest time I had chronic, like, bacterial or yeast infections. No, it's totally normal to have some discharge when you ovulate, which is one thing I did not know until I read this book. Just little things. And it's so just like making that person feel guilty about, ooh, you feeling turned on? Like, no. Speaking of feeling turned on, this talks a lot about different types of lube. I will always preach about lube. I feel like society makes you feel like if you can't get wet enough or enough lubrication that something is physically wrong with you, which, I mean, there could be. Talk to your gynecologist, ask questions. Usually I try to write stuff down before I go in, or bring my boyfriend. He has gone with me to my appointments sometimes, not since COVID, just to reduce risk, but you know, when I was put on birth control, things like that, he was there so he could ask questions too. Oh, lube. So I always recommend having some. This book talks about water-based, silicone-based, and oil-based, pros and cons of each of those, what it works best with, whether it's condom or whatever, or without, which is great. It talks about all the toys too, which I feel like when I was younger, I was like, we don't need toys. Our relationship is fine the way it is. If you can't get off with your husband, then he must not be doing a good job. I don't need toys. What? They make your relationship so much better. It makes things fun. Why would you not? Why would you not want to improve sex life? Sex is fine without it. It's fine. I'm not gonna go into details. I hope family doesn't watch this. Oh God. But why would you want to limit yourself? Right? So yeah, I just always use lube. I don't care if your woman feels like a slip and slide, have lube on hand, because if there is any sort of friction, any resistance when having sex, stop and put on lube. If your significant other is turned on, obviously communicate and be like, are you okay? Do you want some lube? Or whatever. Nothing is wrong with you if you need lube. And sometimes you need to re-lubricate. But if there's any resistance whatsoever, put lube on, because what happens is you force it, you get micro tears in your vaginal wall, and those tears get bacteria or yeast infections and cause all kinds of things. And that's why sometimes it burns when you pee afterwards. It's those micro tears. Just don't do it. Use lube. I have a few favorites. I will have a link in the description. I usually get my products from Pure Romance. I typically don't like multi-level marketing type things like it works or Herbalife or whatever, but this is one where I like the products. They are very education focused. That's where I got this book recommendation, was in that group of ladies. Just like they make education a focus. Their products their toys are super, super great. They last much, much longer than some stuff I bought at the store, which this goes over toys that are and are not safe, because if you get toys like things that are made out of jelly or whatever, those things are porous. They get nasty stuff in them. They're not easy to clean. But other ones are easier to clean. They're safer to use. Things like that. I will link Pure Romance in the description. I have been very happy with their types of lube and their toys and such, and shaving cream. I just, yeah. And I feel like they're just kind of fun. They're those lady parties where you get a bunch of ladies together and you talk about sex, and it's just a good girl kind of bonding time. But yeah, so don't limit your relationships. There's nothing wrong with adding some flair to it. We're not gonna say anything else. Okay. And obviously any questions you have, you can ask them, but if you're not sure, ask your gynecologist. Yeah, definitely do that, because I don't know everything. I'm not a gynecologist. I don't know anything. I'm just kind of talking about my experience in general, how I feel like having a good sex education may have changed the way I did things. I feel like if I could have felt comfortable talking to my parents or family or whatever, maybe I could have avoided certain situations. Instead, my sex education was from girlfriends at school, like, oh, we did this, and oh, what do you do when this happens? Not a good way to learn about sex. Okay? Just don't do it. Have that awkward conversation with your kid. Have it 2 or 3 times. Check in with them. Ask if they have any questions. It doesn't have, you don't have to know all the details about the relationship and their sex life, but enough to where they feel comfortable with you. I feel like I can't say much because I don't have kids. I'm just kind of talking about my experience, and I feel like that sort of built in a flawed idea of consent, which was very, very harmful. And I feel like religion plays a big role in this. I am not religious anymore, obviously, much to my parents' disappointment, but I'm not trying. I have friends that are Christian and they totally had a great relationship with their parents and they talked about sex and they were fine. They turned out great. But I feel like as a whole, the really conservative Christians, you have no idea what you're getting into as far as when you're getting married. Maybe some parents did better than mine. Please don't bash them in the comments. I feel like parents do their best. They don't set out to do any harm. Know what I mean? But I feel like limiting your child's education is harmful. This is getting really long-winded and I am very tired. I'll briefly mention this book. This book is more for us older ladies who have had libido trouble. It's not exactly like sex therapy, but it is very, like, it goes over anatomy, all that good stuff. Another rundown of that. It has a, like, questionnaire and has you fill out stuff, and it has, your inhibitors and your accelerators. For me, I really struggled with libido. Between birth control and depression and being on antidepressants that very much kill your sex drive, along with birth control, was not great. And I tell you what, my boyfriend has been a champ through all of that. He knows my situation. He knows what I've been through. He knows I don't like to feel pressured, and he never tries to make me feel pressured. And so that's amazing. That is how a good relationship should be. So yeah, so this is kind of helpful with that. It goes over, tells you very much like your body's fine the way it is. It's affirmations of what is normal and what is not, context of certain situations. It goes over completing the stress cycle. So a lot of times people struggle with just turning their brain off and just, anyway, this kind of goes more into that. That's more for you experienced people. But this one is my go-to as far as just a wide base, cover all your bases. Yeah. As far as sex education. I feel like it's very digestible, very well explained, and some of it is pretty funny. Like, she says it in a pretty humorous way. Yeah, so I could talk about this more and more. Chat with me more in the comments about this. And if you want to talk about your sex education experience, feel free to chat about it. I've heard some pretty horrendous stories, so I kind of laid it on a little thick, and this is a very different video. These are 2 books I recommend. The younger you are, the better. Talk it over with your parents, ask questions, and get help if you've been in situations similar to mine. Learn about consent and communication. I wish I could read this book to you because it's so good. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. I know I laid it on pretty thick. I know there's some pretty controversial things talked about. Actually, this whole video is that, but anyway. My thumbnail is going to look a little different because I took a different thumbnail for the first video I recorded. I didn't really like it. I don't know if I'll like this one either. I'm so nervous to post this video. I'm so nervous to talk about this, but if it helps someone else, I will have done my job. Give me some affirmations in the comments. Tell me this video is fine. It's fine. It's fine to tell your whole personal experience. Yeah, just it's fine. Okay? Yeah. Chat with me down below. Also, I meant to do this in another video and I forgot because I'm a horrible friend, but my best friend is she needs to have surgery on her jaw. She is chronically ill, has several chronic illnesses. She is legally disabled. I feel like I shouldn't have to say legally, but people are dumb when it comes to disabilities. She is disabled. And insurance will not pay for this surgery. She has details in her GoFundMe. It shows like pictures of her jaw and things like that, why she needs it. We have come so far. She needs like $27,000 and $20,000 has been raised. We are only $7,000 away. So tax return season is coming soon, and if you're feeling generous, send it my best friend's way. She really needs this surgery. She is super nervous. I am nervous for her. I haven't been able to see her because of COVID. Check it out. Go check it out. We are so close. I have like 112 some odd subscribers. If each person did like $5, that would be amazing. Yeah. I don't mean to beg for money, but I'm begging for money. She doesn't have the option not to beg for money, which is very unfortunate. We could talk all about how flawed our medical system is. That's a totally different topic. Yeah, so I will have a link to my best friend's GoFundMe. Go look at it. Go look at her face. Help us break her face. She's already changed so much. So she had to get some teeth cavities filled, just basic dental care. And then braces and stuff, and get everything sort of lined correctly. So then we could break it. We tease, we're like, break her face, break her face. But it's actually really important, and she needs help. So check it out. And then, yeah, I'm so nervous to post this video, and I'm gonna say that, take a drink every time I say I'm so nervous. Okay, so I am very scared to post this video. Tell me that it's okay in the comments. If your friends or family or coworkers that are really close to me, just don't mention it. Don't tell me that you watched it. Okay, I gotta stop. So if you like this video, like and subscribe. I am trying to get where I post at least once a week. I'm trying. I don't really do a lot of nonfiction books, but I felt like with Valentine's Day coming up, it's kind of a different take on it. Good relationship advice kind of stuff. I'm sweating. I think that's everything. I am so nervous. Like and subscribe. I usually do like a lot of fantasy sci-fi type reading. So I don't always do these type of books, obviously. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter as Dynamite Reads. Hopefully, I'll see you guys next time.